この時間は日豪首脳共同記者会見の模様をお伝えします。軍事的な動きを強める中国を念頭に、日本とオーストラリアの連携強化を盛り込んだ新たな安全保障共同宣言を2007年以来15年ぶりに発表する見通しです。
Once the documents are signed, I ask that the signatories stand and then move behind the table for official photographs. I now call on the Honourable Anthony Albanese MP, Prime Minister of Australia, and the Honourable Kishida Fumio, Prime Minister of Japan, to sign the joint declaration on security cooperation. The joint declaration on security cooperation will chart a path for defence and security cooperation between Australia and Japan. So if the two Prime Ministers could just remain to witness the next signing. I would now like to invite the Honourable Madeleine King MP, Minister for Resources and Minister for Northern Australia, and Mr Hirohide, Vice Minister for International Affairs from the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, to sign the Australia-Japan Critical Minerals Partnership. The Critical Minerals Partnership will build secure critical mineral supply chains between Australia and Japan and promote investment and other areas of collaboration. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes the ceremony. Prime Ministers, I now invite you to the lecterns.
Well, thank you very much, Prime Minister Kishida, and once again, welcome to Australia. I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, and I pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. I also have asked for permission from the Prime Minister to make some initial comments about the tragic events that are unfolding on the east coast of Australia. Flood warnings now stretch continuously from Queensland to Victoria and extend into Tasmania. Our thoughts are with the family and friends of the 5 people who have died in floodwaters in Victoria and in New South Wales. From tonight, 3 helicopters are on standby for night search and rescue in New South Wales, and a further 150 Australian Defence Force personnel will be on the ground helping. 100 of them in northern New South Wales and 50 on standby in the Hunter. 350 ADF personnel are now on the ground helping in Victoria. My government will continue to work with states and territories, and we stand ready to support those Australians who are suffering the most. From next week, additional help will be available for Tasmanian small business and producers. Grants of up to $25,000 will be available in 17 local government areas, including an upfront payment of $2,500. And I'll continue to work with Premier Rockcliffe in Tasmania, as well as the Premiers of Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland, as we deal with the challenging time ahead. Information about eligibility and how to apply will be available in the coming days through ourselves and through the Tasmanian Government. As of Friday, more than $14.6 million in disaster assistance has been provided to some 18,000 people impacted by floods in New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania. Can I give my heartfelt thanks to Defence Force personnel, to the emergency service workers and to the volunteers who are showing once again that at the worst of times we see the best of the Australian character. We see Australians helping each other out in a time of crisis, and we see in some examples as well Australians putting themselves at risk in order to help their fellow Australians. I do say to Australians in these areas, please follow the advice. If you're asked to evacuate, please do so. Do not drive through floodwaters. It's dangerous. You don't know what is below, what you can't see. So I ask people to continue to take the advice of the experts and to please stay safe. That is the most important thing. Nothing is worth the risk involved. And I again reiterate my thanks, my praise and my gratitude to those people who are providing that assistance on the ground in such a large area of Australia. Can I say that it is a great honour to welcome the Prime Minister here to Australia. It is our fourth meeting in just my 5 months as Prime Minister. It is the first time that a Prime Minister of Japan has visited Australia since His Excellency Abe Shinzo was here in 2018. And I was very grateful to pay my respects at Mr Abe's funeral held last month, along with the 3 former Australian Prime Ministers, Prime Minister Howard, Prime Minister Turnbull, Prime Minister Abbott. It said a lot about Shinzo Abe's stature, but also the depth of Australia's friendship with Japan. So too does our ongoing relationship, that we're very much developing a close friendship between us. I'll never forget winning an election on the 21st of May, and I was in Tokyo on the 23rd of May for the Quad meeting that was so successful. It was fitting that my first overseas visit was to Japan. Australia's relationship with Japan is one of our most mature and enduring. Our special strategic partnership with Japan is unique. Our trade, investment and travel links are so strong. Our cooperation goes from strength to strength on everything from education to climate to defence to space exploration. As well as stability and solidarity, there's warmth and trust and respect in this relationship. Our affinity is in our common desire for a peaceful, prosperous, resilient and secure Indo-Pacific, where democracy and human rights are upheld, the rule of law prevails and disputes are settled peaceably without coercion. Australian people and Japanese people hold these values dearly, and they were at the heart of our annual leaders' meeting this morning. This shared visit for an Indo-Pacific region that is peaceful, prosperous, resilient and free is why today we have signed the renewed Joint Declaration on Security Cooperation. Following our Reciprocal Access Agreement in 2022, this landmark declaration sends a strong signal to the region of our strategic alignment. Our commitment to consult each other on contingencies is a natural step in our efforts to support the security and stability of the region. It shows the responsibility we share for security in our region and towards one another. As part of our increased security partnership, we also welcome today the announcement that Japan's self-defence forces will train and exercise in Northern Australia with the Australian Defence Force. One of the greatest security challenges for our region and indeed the world is, of course, climate change. But it also represents an extraordinary opportunity to shape our future by seizing the opportunity of renewable energy and the possibilities it opens for new jobs and industries. Both our countries are committed to net zero by 2050 and to working with the Quad and other groups to advance renewable energy technologies. I know Prime Minister Kishida is as hopeful as I am about what we can achieve together. This morning we spoke at length about how Australia and Japan can do more to ensure access to affordable, reliable and secure energy in the Indo-Pacific as we move to a net zero world. I expressed Australia's support for the Prime Minister Kishida's personal initiative, the Asia Zero Emissions Community. AZEC will be a great galvanising force in the region, promoting decarbonisation in Southeast Asia and uniting all of our efforts towards net zero. When it comes to taking action on climate change, we are all part of a bigger community and we can do more together than we can do as individual countries. We talked this morning about Australia's special role in supporting Japan's energy security, which we've had since the first commerce agreement was signed way back in 1957. We have a long history of supplying resources such as LNG to Japan, and this trade will continue with Western Australia playing a key role. But as we look to the future, we see real opportunity in the export of renewables, including hydrogen to Japan, helping both our nations achieve our emissions reduction goals. Today we have also signed a critical minerals partnership. We've committed to more cooperation to strengthen the supply chain of critical minerals, including those that are required for building the green technologies of the future. This partnership will mean we build secure supply chains, promote investment, develop Australia's domestic sector and make sure Japan's advanced manufacturers have the critical minerals they need. We are also looking further afield, about as far afield as you can go. Japan has asked for our cooperation in one of the most daring space missions ever attempted. JAXA, Japan's space agency, is planning to touch down on Phobos, one of the moons of Mars, and collect samples that might tell us more than we've ever known about the birth of our solar system. The request from Japan is for the spacecraft, nicknamed MMX, to land in Woomera in South Australia with its precious samples when it returns to Earth in 2029. I'm pleased to confirm that Australia has once again said yes. We're proud to take part in this world-first mission. To me, it's an extraordinary example of how far Australia and Japan have come and how far we can go. Prime Minister Kishida, welcome once again to Australia. It is such an enormous personal pleasure for me to return your hospitality and to express in person Australia's deep and sincere regard for Japan and its people. Thank you.
Thank you. もういいですか。はい、まず私からも、冒頭、オーストラリアの東海岸において、大きな災害の被害が出ていることに対しお見舞いを申し上げたいと思います。災害によってお亡くなりになられた方々に哀悼の誠を捧げ、そして 被災されたすべての皆様方に心からお見舞いを申し上げます。多くの皆さんの努力によって一日も早い復旧が進むことを願いたいと思います。そしてその上で、この度、アルバニージ首相から、この美しいパースの街にご招待いただきましたこと、心から感謝を申し上げます。ここパースは、日本と豪州が鉄鉱石貿易を皮切りに、日豪関係の礎を築いてきた歴史を象徴する町です。そして本年7月の安倍元総理の逝去に対し、弔意メッセージや各地でのライトアップなど、豪州の皆様から特別なお心遣いをいただきました。そして先月の国葬儀には、アンソニーと歴代首相3名にご参列をいただきました。日本国民を代表し、心から感謝を申し上げます。本日、首脳会談に先立ち、アンソニーと1対1で会談を行いました。その中で、安全保障、防衛協力、自由で開かれたインド太平洋に向けた連携、資源エネルギー分野での協力など、他に例を見ない日豪間の緊密な結びつきに鑑み、日豪の特別な戦略的なパートナーシップは新たな次元に入ったという認識において一致をいたしました。今次訪問の最大の成果の一つとして、先ほどアンソニーとの間で新たな安全保障協力の共同宣言を署名いたしました。基本的価値と戦略的利益を共有する日豪両国は、厳しさを増す戦略環境の下、情報、広報支援、運用面での協力の枠組みを整備しつつ、安全保障、防衛協力を拡大してきました。新たな宣言は、この確固たる基盤に立ち、安全保障、防衛協力の今後10年の方向性を示す羅針盤となるものです。この宣言は、地域の安全保障上の利益に影響を及ぼしうる緊急事態に関して協議をし、対応を検討することの確認も含め、安全保障、防衛協力をさらに進化させる充実した内容となっています。そして、私からいわゆる反撃能力を含め、国家の防衛に必要なあらゆる選択肢を検討し、今後5年以内に日本の防衛力を抜本的に強化する決意を表明し、アンソニーからの指示をいただきました。また、日本と豪州がインド太平洋地域における同志国連携の中核として、日米豪印や日米豪などの取り組みを重層的に活用し、自由で開かれたインド太平洋に向けた取り組みを牽引することで、改めて一致をいたしました。私からアンソニーが主催する来年の日米豪印首脳会合への強い支持と協力を表明いたしました。さらに、ウクライナ情勢、挑発行為を続ける北朝鮮、厳しさを増す東シナ海、南シナ海、台湾海峡の平和と安定、太平洋島しょ国への支援、CPTPP 等についても突っ込んだ議論を行いました。我々の間で得られた共通認識は、共同声明において示されています。また、私とアンソニーは、核軍縮に深くコミッ としています。最近、ロシアがウクライナにおける核兵器の使用を示唆していることは極めて憂慮すべき事態です。ロシアの核兵器による威嚇は国際社会の平和と安全に対する深刻な脅威であり、断じて受け入れることはできません。ましてや、その使用は決してあってはなりません。広島および長崎に原爆が投下されて77年間、核兵器が使用されていない歴史をないがしろにすることはあってはなりません。仮に核兵器が使用されることがあれば、それは人類に対する敵対行為です。国際社会としてその行為を決して許すことがないことを改めて強調いたします。豪州は日本にとって LNG や石炭等のエネルギーの最大供給国であり、中でも西豪州は日本のエネルギー安全保障にとって極めて重要です。ウクライナ情勢等により資源エネルギー安全保障の重要性が高まる中、自治合間でのこの分野での協力をさらに進展させることで、安保理との間で一致をいたしました。その一環として、日豪経済協力のフロンティアである脱炭素分野、中でも水素、アンモニア、重要鉱物等の多くの関連プロジェクトが両国間で進展していることを歓迎いたします。重要鉱物の安定供給も有志国間で戦略的に協力すべきアジェンダです。先ほど署名された日豪の重要鉱物に関するパートナーシップ等を通じ、この分野でのさらなる関係強化につながることを期待しています。日豪の特別な戦略的パートナーシップの強化は、日豪両国のみならず、地域や国際社会の平和と安定に重要な役割を果たすものです。このような視点に立ち、今後、アンソニーと手を携え、日豪関係の中台をさらに強靭なものにしていく決意を強くしています。最後に、日豪両国民間の友情がますます強くなっていくことをとても嬉しく思っています。日本では今月から入国制限を緩和し、豪州を含む各国との査証免除措置も再開いたしました。豪州の皆様に日本にお越しをいただき、日本の冬の味覚や美しい雪山でのスキーなど、存分に楽しんでいただきたいと思っております。ありがとうございました。
速報です。オーストラリアでアルバニージー首相との首脳会談を行った岸田総理は、先ほど2007年以来15年ぶりとなる安全保障協力に関する新たな日豪共同宣言に署名しました。新たな宣言では、軍事的な動きを強める中国を念頭に、日本とオーストラリアの主権や地域の安定に影響を与える緊急事態の場合に、相互に協議を行って対応を検討することを明記しました。これについて外務省幹部は、両国が影響を受ける状況や エスカレートしていきそうな場合に早期に対応を協議し、軍事的措置も含めた外交や経済措置などベストな行動を考える必要があるためとしています。また宣言ではサプライチェーンの構築など経済安全保障の促進も強調したほか、民主主義や人権、自由貿易など共通の価値観を示し、国際法に基づく平和的な紛争の解決を訴えました。